on one game.
That is Connor McDavid. Edmonton Oilers, thank you to the NHL Network for that soundbite as we have Game 7 tonight. That means we're going to head to Florida. Steve Peters working that game tonight as the telestration producer for ESPN, and he is our guest. Before we get to Game 7, Steve, I would be remiss if I did not give you the opportunity to just lambaste the present setup of Alex Meruelo and what has happened. I said at the beginning of the show, pick up your bag of pucks and get out. Where are you?
Yeah, I'm there with you. I don't know how many more missteps can happen with the Meruelo ownership group. I think what they've proven is they can't get this deal done. So prolonging it is just making it more painful for hockey fans in the Valley. I no longer think the fastest path back to NHL hockey in Arizona goes through Alex Meruelo. I think it's going to be faster the faster he steps down and gets out of the way, period. And from talking to people here associated with the league and around the league, it seems to be the sentiment here as we travel back and forth from Edmonton to Florida. Everybody I've spoken with seems to believe that this is going to happen much quicker once Meruelo steps aside and allows somebody else to take a kick at the can and try to build a building here in Arizona. It's time. It's time to move on. Made a lot of money. Take the money and go home.
And the thing, and Steve, we're going to catch up with Craig Morgan here at 2 o'clock. He'll break it down even more so. And then the other thing, too, I had a chance to catch up, Steve, so you know, Don Aarons, and I've known Don for years. He's one of the top land brokers in all of Arizona. The way he broke it down, too, he felt that this might have been a blessing in disguise for Meruelo because it pretty much gave him an out. All of this, and Don will explain, was preventable if the Yotes would have followed the guidelines for this sealed bid or this land bid auction.
Yeah, clearly, again, we talk about the missteps, but unfortunately, we're talking about trying to get land for a team that no longer exists. So the missteps started a year ago. And maybe we'd be talking about or more than a year ago, talking about shovels in the ground in Tempe after winning a great election because you hired political consultants. You got a positive message out there. You worked with the community. You worked with the fan base, and you're building a new arena. And we're not talking about any of this. And yes, they missed with the zoning of the land. Clearly missed it. But to me, the horse is already out of the barn.
Yeah.
Like I understand, but it's too late. Like go away.
Yeah, and one last thing, before we talk about tonight's game, it was reported that the staff has been let go as of last week with their severance packages and what have you. My question for you, if that's true, number one. Number two, what kind of staff would they have had if they'd have won the auction bid or moved forward with the bid? That's a little confusing for a lot of folks.
Yeah, a lot of their staff was let go. I mean, a lot of my friends no longer have jobs. They received an extra 2-week paycheck. They have insurance through the end of the month. It's tough. But on the other hand, there's no hockey team to work for. You don't need a marketing department. You don't need a PR department. You don't need marketing, ticket sales. You don't need them because there's no team. I don't think they were going to be retained regardless of the auction outcome. I really don't. I think that they were going to have to be let go at some point anyway. I feel awful for them. I feel bad for those people, but good people that work really hard. Everybody's going to end up okay. It's just too bad it had to happen this way.
Steve Peters is our guest on the Right Toyota guest line. A little Game 7. Last week, you were calling the Blues. I want to come home. I want to come home. And you ended up going back to Edmonton, and now you're back in Florida. So how jacked are you for a Game 7?
Okay, am I in Florida? Honestly, I have to step outside to make sure which city I'm in, which time zone I am. This is insane. This travel is so hard. And I know people whine, but go book flights from Edmonton to Fort Lauderdale. It isn't easy. You cannot get to these two cities. Everybody's worn out. Everybody's tired. But the atmosphere here and everybody, whether you're working on the staff with the NHL or the players, this is Game 7. Like, people are pretty dang excited about this game. If it's going to go 6, might as well go 7. This is amazing. It happens so rarely in sports. It's 2011 since the last time it happened in the NHL. This is going to be historic one way or the other. It's the first time the Cup's gone back to Canada in 31 years, or it's the first time the Florida Panthers win it in their franchise history. It's going to be a heck of a hockey game.
Well, Steve, let me run this. It's our State 48 Roofing. It's your call question of the day. And even you, Steve, go to @RockManucci on Twitter. And in reference to the Edmonton Oilers, who are clearly the underdog, and they're on a roll, why do you feel that the Edmonton Oilers can win Game 7 versus the Florida Panthers? Is it, 1, better athletes, number 2, Connor McDavid, number 3, goalie Stuart Skinner, or 4, time for a Canadian winner? Which way you leaning there, big fella?
If they are going to win it, it's going to be number 2. It's Connor McDavid. If they win this game today, it's going to be on the shoulders and on the back of number 97, Connor McDavid. He's their leader. He's their captain. He got him to this point. If they get the win, it's because of number 97.
All right. So take me then to players. And what is it like? You've been around it. You've been involved in it for a number of years. What is this like for start first with the Florida Panthers, who had a 3-0 lead, only to see that evaporate? How much pressure are they feeling tonight?
Well, I tell you what, that's been the difference in games 4, 5, and 6 was the pressure got to Florida, and they made mistakes they haven't made the entire playoffs. They played on edge. They were making silly mistakes that they just don't make as a team. Unless they find a way to get their nerves under control, I'm very concerned at how they're going to start here in Game 7. If anything goes badly in the first 10 minutes for this team, I think Florida is in trouble. They need to get back to the confident team that we saw in previous rounds against the New York Rangers and the Tampa Bay Lightning. That's the Florida Panther team we need to see. The nerves have been too much for them, and they've made too many mistakes. They can't play that kind of hockey against Edmonton.
Well, on top of that, they're giving up touchdowns. On top of that, Steve, think about that. I mean, you lose 8-1, you lose 5-1. You're seeing Edmonton jump on them early on, and I guess I'm surprised they had really no answer, especially when Edmonton would jump on them early.
Yeah, it's funny because the best hockey the Florida Panthers have played in Game 5 and Game 6 came in the third period with 10 or 15 minutes to go, and by then it was too late. They have to, again, we go back to their nerves, and it starts with their goaltender, Bobrovsky, and you see the numbers and the amount of goals he has given up over the last 3 games. He has not done in over 2 years, given up those kind of goals in consecutive games 3 times in a row. This is unheard of. We were talking about him being the MVP of the playoffs through 3 games, and now you just want to see him play average. Florida needs him to be better. He has to be at his best. But we've seen how Edmonton offense can dominate and their speed can dominate. If Edmonton gets the first goal, I'm afraid this might be over quick. Like, Edmonton scores the first goal, Florida is going to be in trouble.
Well, and Steve, but I mean, if I look at last 3 games, I mean, I get that, but 18-5 the last 3 games, they've been outscored 6-2 in these last. Aren't they the defensive juggernaut? So there's got to be some magic potion over there in the Edmonton locker room that we're not seeing. What would that be?
Well, no, it's their foot speeds. They're incredibly quick. Their sticks are great. And when you watch Florida defending right now, again, we go back to this mistake. They're making mistakes by their best players, Gustav Forsling, Brandon Montour, Aaron Ekblad. Their top defensive players are making mistakes, things that they haven't done all season. Now, whether it's nerves or injuries or just trying to handle the speed of the Edmonton Oilers, it could be a combination of all 3. Florida doesn't make mistakes like this. Their coach still says we're going to continue to play the same way. Paul Maurice says this is Florida Panther hockey. We're going to be better. We have 1 game to do it, and we're going to defend better tonight. They need to. They have to go back to the old Florida Panther style of hockey. They need to defend better. In my gut, and nobody here knows, it goes back and forth. In my gut, I think Florida's going to be better. I really do. I think Florida's going to be a better team tonight.
All right, the offsides call that negated the Florida goal. You guys are in the truck. You're there. It's hard to tell. It looked like it was the puck across, was the skate across. Did they make the right call? Because that seemed to douse Florida's momentum.
Yeah, and as a former video coach, the guy that call gets shouldered upon, that was a tough call. And I sat there in the truck saying, I don't know if I could make it. If I'm the video coach in Game 6 of the Stanley Cup playoffs, knowing what that call means, if you're wrong, I don't know if I could have made it. It's funny. I just talked to the video coach of the Edmonton Oilers walking into the building tonight, and I asked him, I said, what did you think? And he said, I knew it was offsides, but you, just like we all know this in sports, you have to see it on video.
Sure.
And just, you can't surmise that it's offsides because the stick is in the way. You need to see it. So luckily, He said it was the fourth replay he saw. It wasn't even the definitive cameras that he got from the league. It was actually from the ESPN replay truck that he made his call on. And he said, absolutely offside. They pushed the button, said it's offside. I talked to the league last night on the plane ride from Toronto, and they said, yes, it was definitive. It was minuscule, less than an inch, but it was definitely offside.
All right, Steve, we'll let you go on this. Prediction, Game 7 tonight, Edmonton, Florida. How does it play out in your mind?
Well, 3-1 empty netters, 2-1 with under 30 seconds to go.
Wow.
Edge of our seat hockey tonight.
Does your wife know you still? I mean, I'm just because when you walk in the door, she got to change the locks.
And then I go to the draft the next day. I hope I'm still married. I'm not even worried about the lock. I have my stuff still in the house when I get home. I can't blame her. I can't wait to get home. I heard the weather's really nice there.
Oh, yeah. You're going to love it.
Sure.
Yeah, you're going to really
180% humidity. You're going to love it, Steve. Yeah.
Yeah, great. Thanks. It has to end tonight. This is it. I'm told that you don't have to win by 2. I was worried for a minute. I thought we were going back to Edmonton, but we are not.
You're the freaking best
on this stretch, guys.
You're the best, pal. Thank you for everything that you've provided for us the entire time. Thank you, Steve.
I appreciate it, guys. Thanks,
there you
guys.
go. There you go. Steve Peters. He's tired. You can tell. And he's correct. It is difficult flying commercial. Remember, he's not flying on a team plane. He's flying commercial out of probably Fort Lauderdale to get to Edmonton.
I got to tell you, he must think he's living in the Twilight Zone. Or it's deja vu all over again with Bill Murray.
Yes.
Or Rod Serling in the Twilight Zone. He just wants to come home. He just can't get home. But you know what? If Edmonton wins, he'll be seeing a piece of history.
Yes.
Saying Connor McDavid now go to that mantle, right? Mm-hmm. They rate guys on world championships or world titles. Phenomenal player, but there's always you want to eliminate that, but he never won one, or he got there because you know what I mean.
Sure.
Just eliminate that to carry on your legacy from that standpoint.
Hey, Steve, presented by Fogco and Fogco Misting Systems, and right now with the way that the heat is in the valley, well, you can beat that heat with a Fogco misting system from Fogco. Let Fogco design the perfect misting system for patios, pools, or your leisure areas. Stay cool all summer with Fogco Patio Misters. Get a free quote at fogco.com or just go old school and call them. 800-607-6478. That's 800-607-6478. Fogco, serving the Valley for over 35 years, fogco.com. All right, everybody, coming up, it's our football at 50. We are